counselor and a special educator working with a large population of students. And when we work with students, we find that very often they are not able to focus or study as much as they should be, simply because of the uh, some thoughts which are going on in their mind. So I'll be taking one part of it. How many of you are willing to turn on your videos for an activity? I don't want to force you, but if is anyone willing to put on the video? Otherwise, the activity won't have any meaning. And I appreciate all of you who have joined in. Okay, so I need at least two more to put on the videos. We are going to have some fun with that piece of paper that I told you about. Okay, so can I have at least two more people putting on their videos? Okay, all of you have that piece of paper. Anshuman, I can see your video on. Would you have a piece of paper? I wouldn't want that paper to be in the view of others. All right. So if you have your paper, keep it down, and I'll be telling you what to do. All right. So are you all ready? If those of you who are not putting on your videos, you can do the activity, and it will help you to understand. Okay. So Shrila ma'am is also helping me in this activity, right? Okay. So I'll at least have two of you on it. All right. Okay, so first let me start by saying once I start this activity, you can't ask any questions. Okay, so no questions will be entertained from this point till the activity is over. Now take that piece of paper and fold the paper in half. Anshuman, you're there? Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Fold the paper in half was the first instruction. Now tear off the right bottom corner. Tear off the right bottom corner.
Ma'am, could you please start again, please?
All right, I'm starting again. No questions allowed. I'm starting from the beginning. Fold the paper in half. Tear off the right bottom corner. Okay, the third instruction is fold your paper in half again. Now tear the right upper corner. Okay, now one last time, fold the paper again in half and tear the lower left corner. Okay, now I'm asking you to open up that paper and show it to me. Okay, that's Shrila's paper. What about yours, Anshuman? That's Bharti's paper. Keep it up there so that all of you can look at it. Okay, all right. Okay, we've got three papers there. Okay, now what is your understanding from this activity? Anyone can answer. Just unmute and answer. What do you understand from this? Anybody?
Different people have different perception of listening to, the instructions.
All right, different people have different understanding or a perspective to the instructions. All right, very good. And of course, I did say don't ask any questions. Otherwise, maybe you would have said, is it this right hand or is it that right hand, and so on. Okay. So I definitely didn't allow any questions. So you couldn't do that. So everyone is different. We have concluded that. What else can be learned through this activity? Anybody? Yes, Anshuman? You don't have to be right or wrong. There's no right or wrong answers in these activities which are put out here.
The thing that we do might not be right for the other person.
Okay, that's what we did. Okay, are you saying what you did is right and what they did is wrong?
No.
Okay,
everyone have their own right and wrongs.
All right, everyone has their own right and wrong. This was anyway not an exam. So everybody understood or interpreted it the way they could, and nobody could cheat because everyone's videos were off and nobody was showing the paper also, right?
If anyone wants to type the answer, can type also.
Yeah. Can type the answer also.
I guess, may I?
Yes, please.
I think whatever my perception would be, whatever I did, whatever I teared the paper, that was right. But that does not mean like third person or any other people are wrong. Like I need to acknowledge everyone has their own perception and everyone has their own way of doing things.
All right. Okay. So this it's the same thing coming up like the perceptions. What my thought was right, I've done, but that doesn't mean that somebody else is wrong. Very good. Okay, Anshuman, do you want to say anything? Then I'll conclude the activity.
Ma'am, like same action by different people may mean differently
All right.
and result may be different
Okay.
for
Very
the
good.
same activity.
Very good. Very good. So remember, when we are going out into this world, I think ma'am was talking to you about placements and so on. When you'll go out into the world, whatever we are saying to somebody else may be misunderstood. All right. So therefore, the clarity that we need to do in communicating our thoughts to somebody is also very, very important. I know I said no, you can't ask questions. However, if you can't understand whatever I am saying or what anyone you meet is saying, ask questions. This generation is so good at not asking questions. Okay, so ask as many questions, get clarity. Not because you have to do something right, but it is a step towards getting yourself understood in the outside world. Okay, so with that short activity and introduction, I'm thanking you all for joining in and doing that activity. Okay, so it's an activity to also understand that over the last 2 years, we were all affected by COVID, correct? Different parts of India, different ways we were affected. All of us went through our own story. That paper which you had was our own story. Okay, so we were all affected in some way or the other, academics, personal life, etc. And that's what brings me to the topic of resilience. So I'll be sharing a PowerPoint. Okay, there are different activities to do in the PowerPoint also. I hope you all will be as participative as you all were just now. Okay, okay, can you all see my PowerPoint?
Yes, ma'am.
You can? All
Yes,
right,
ma'am.
great. All right, I finished the activity, but let me come to the first slide. This entire presentation is based on the resilience donut. Okay, I've been trained on it. It's combining strengths to thrive. It's a very large topic, so I've just taken out one part of it, calling it building resilience through healthy thinking patterns. Okay, so that will be the focus of the topic today. On the right hand side, there is a picture. All right, there is a picture of a flower that is thriving in spite of that cracked background which you see, no water supply, it is still thriving. And perhaps this is our story. Many of us who are attending this, maybe this is our story. We are thriving in spite of all the difficulties. And that's why somewhere we have certain strengths that we are probably missing out in order to thrive. Okay, I won't be addressing so much on strengths. I'll be talking more about healthy thinking patterns and making that a strength as well for your period of time that you'll be studying. I understand there'll be MBA, engineering, and commerce background students here, and so we'll take this forward. Okay, I finished the activity. I'm moving into some warning signs to poor mental health. I feel like every time I meet a bunch of adult students who are in studying any kind of course, I must alert them to some of the warning signs so that they can take help if required. So some of the warning signs are changes to your usual mood. All right, you find yourself irritable, sad for most of the period of time. You will see that there are changes to your health and lifestyle, drastic changes, sometimes not eating enough or overeating, not exercising if you were exercising in the past. So changes to health and lifestyle, withdrawing from activities that you previously found pleasurable. Okay, very important. You might have been enjoying the guitar class for years and suddenly now you have stopped doing it. Changes to your outlook on life or self esteem. You have a very bleak outlook on life and your self esteem. So these are just put down 4 points. There are a lot of points, but just to keep in mind that sometimes if you look at these three pictures over here, these three boys here, you'll see that you feel like your battery is drained out, overthinking, and a lot of confusion in the brain. Seek help. All right, there's no stigma around seeking help to talk to anyone. We have to normalize that in order to take care of our mental health. So what is resilience? Does anyone want to tell me? Have you heard this word before? You don't have to put on your videos. If you want, just unmute and tell me what is resilience. Okay, I'll tell you what is resilience. It is a capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, and some textbooks also refer to it as mental toughness. Okay, so the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties. You've gone through an adverse experience, and you do go through the sadness of it, the anger of it, and so on. But after a point of time, you're able to recover from it and go back to your normal duties and normal life. I call this resilience. You can see the spring over here. If I stretch the spring or I stretch a rubber band, when I leave it, it will go back to its original state. That's what most textbooks talk about resilience. However, I say, or not only I say, there are books that say, instead of bouncing back to its original state, let us learn from that incident and bounce ahead. Right? We can learn. Each adverse experience makes us stronger and stronger to expect the next incident. Many years ago, when I'm living in Bombay, I was 18 years old, and I had to walk through flood. If any of you are from Bombay, you will understand the amount of floods that we have when it rains. I had to walk through water which was actually till here, holding each friend's hands, and we had to walk. But it was an experience. If I keep saying, why did it happen to me? It shouldn't have happened to me, so on and so forth, then I am not going to be able to bounce ahead. Okay, so now when I see the flood, I might be scared still, but I will remember that I have done it before. Maybe how can I do it this time again safely? Because it might be in a different place. Okay, so I'm not telling all to take risks. I'm asking all to learn from experience to be safer the next time and be mentally stronger the next time. And therefore, we are saying bounce ahead. Okay, why bother about resilience? All right. This is a picture of a doctor sitting here with a lot of books, but I have no doubt any course that you're doing, this might be your situation, right? Okay, books and assignments. Now a lot of soft copies coming in, so even laptop looks very cluttered. So anyway, why bother about resilience, especially among students? Academic overload. We have no doubt, okay, that you all have academically overloaded, the amount of syllabus that you all have, the portions you all have, there is. But on the other hand, we are also seeing students with digital overload. Okay, digital overload, fear of missing out, FOMO, all of you may have heard it. Let me check my phone. Oh my God, that person has gone there. Why were they didn't call me? I should also have been there. And then we kind of feel very sad about it, and we feel we have missed out. Digital overload, yes, we understand pandemic did bring us. We are also using screens right now to do this, but let me tell all of you, there is an app on your phone called Digital Wellbeing. All of you must go to that app and set timers for everything so that you are not overusing the each app, and you are also giving some time to your studies, because otherwise academic overload will become more and more. Time management. A lot of students are struggling with time management. I had a boy who visited this morning doing his MBA, and he said his biggest challenge is time management. Okay, I won't be taking time management as a topic or anything, but I just want you all to understand why am I talking about resilience today. Competition with peers and performance pressure. We parents put a lot of pressure on you all, right? Do well, you have to get this much marks. If you don't get this much marks, you won't get admission, and so on and so forth. So these stories are constantly being relayed to you either by parents or by other adults or by teachers. Ethical dilemmas. Okay, maybe in your profession you don't have many ethical dilemmas to make. Okay, but it may have come in COVID times that whether I should do this or that, and that's another thing that puts pressure on us. And of course, we are learning to deal with this uncertainty. Okay, we don't know now whether any exam is going to be there or not. Correct, we don't know whether it's going to be cancelled, postponed, marks calculated from this, from that. So there is a continuous uncertainty that is still looming around us, and that's why we are talking about resilience. How do we build resilience? Okay, the process of building resilience is through negotiating with our available resources. What do I mean by available resources? We have time, we have energy, we have books, we have electricity, we have Wi Fi, we have everything. How can I use this to my maximum when I am stuck in a particular situation, an adverse situation? How can I use all of this and come out of that situation, bounce ahead? Then developing our social and personal competencies. Okay, in terms of social and personal competencies, our social skills. We may have the textbook knowledge of a lot of things, but we must have social skills, and our personal competencies are how to speak, how to modulate tone of voice, and how to use our personal contacts whenever we need help. Okay, remember, any friend will be ready to help you if you reach out. And the third point here is actually facing adversity. Now, a lot of us have not been, don't put our children through this. We say, no, why should they go through this? Let them have a comfortable life and so on. But sometimes not having electricity for a whole night, all right, is also an example of an adverse situation. Going through various situations that are in nature, which you won't see in a daily basis, builds our resilience. However, today I'm going to focus on this part, building resilience through healthy thinking patterns. Okay, so the other three I'm not touching upon, but I'm just telling you all that these are the things that you have to enhance. Okay, so let's go through the topic. Okay, some thoughts. Now we are talking about the thoughts, no? Healthy thinking patterns, some thoughts that affect resilience. Sometimes our thoughts tell us about the way we see ourselves. I'm fat, I have lots of friends, I have got a bad temper. Okay, so you can understand from these which are the ones which will cause distress to us. I'm fat or I've got a bad temper, maybe things that will cause some amount of distress to us. Our thoughts might be also how we judge what we do. I can't cope with family pressure during exams. I'm good at sports or I'm not good at sports. I'm unable to concentrate while studying. So some thoughts will keep coming into our mind. And lastly, sometimes our thoughts describe our view of the future. No one will ever want to go out with me. All of you are in that relationship stage. You may want a boyfriend or a girlfriend to come out with you, and then you keep thinking, oh, no one will ever want to go out with me. I'll never get to go abroad for higher studies. I'll be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. Now, this last point, is it realistic to have such thoughts that I'll be a millionaire by the time I'm 30? If I think I'll be a millionaire, I will be so stressed up because I have to prove it to myself. I would be working day and night and I might burn out. Okay. So, some of these thoughts that I've put out over here, you may be having. I've just put some examples across students that I speak to, and I've put them here as examples. Now we are going to through the process of thinking. Thinking is a 24 by 7 process, right? We can't stop thinking. If I tell you stop thinking, change the way you think, you don't know how to do that, right? So that's what I'm going to be talking about, how to change the thinking. Yes, I will be talking about how to correct irrational thoughts. First, I will teach you how to identify if it's irrational or not. So if I tell you control your thinking, I'll be very wrong. I have to tell you, teach you how to manage your thinking. Okay, that's what I'm going to be doing in the next couple of minutes. The first step is to ask yourself, if you have an irrational thought or you think it's just a thought, then you have to ask yourself first, is it a fact or an opinion? Now, let me take an example. I'm sitting here in Bangalore and I'm going to tell you that Bangalore is the capital of Karnataka. It's a fact or an opinion? It's a fact, right? I can't change it. If I change it, I have to go through a whole legal drama to change it. I don't have the energy for that, so let me just say it's a fact. But if I tell you, I don't know which part of the country all of you are from, but if I tell you Bangalore is a beautiful city, you might not agree with me because that's an opinion, right? But what happens now? We can both agree to disagree that your city is beautiful, my city is beautiful. We can agree to disagree. That's the not the point. But sometimes I might have an opinion. I'm not good enough. It's an opinion, but what we are doing is we are making that opinion into our belief. We are starting to believe it like a fact. And that's where the problem arises. because I can change an opinion, I can't change a fact. But if I understand I am not good enough is an opinion I have about myself, I will work towards changing it. So, the first step to the thoughts that we keep getting, automatic thoughts, we have no control over our thoughts, will keep coming. Now, from today onwards, first ask yourself, is it a fact or an opinion? If it is a fact, chalo, I can't change it. If it's an opinion, there is something I can change about it. All right, so that's the first step. The second step is to understand this triangle. Some books put it as 5 areas. I've just made it simpler for you and put it as a triangle. Our thoughts create feelings. If I have a thought, I am a failure. Okay, that thought is going to make I am a failure is going to make me feel upset, sad, disappointed, angry, jealous, and so on. How many emotions I can go through with one single thought? That particular thought or that particular feeling of jealousy can lead to me quitting and not studying and saying, I can't study anymore. What will happen when I quit and I don't study? And my thought, I am a failure, will not go away because I still have the means and resources to study. So the thought, I am a failure, is not helping me because I'm choosing to quit. See, sometimes we have to choose to quit for various reasons. That's not what I'm saying. Quitting, if your mental health is not good, quitting because it's beyond your time or whatever, is fine. But quitting when we know we have resources is going to reinforce my thought that I am a failure. However, if one of you had the same situation and had the same thoughts, same feelings, and decided I am going to try again. I'm going to try this exam again. I'm going to speak to teachers. I'm going to speak to my friends and I'm going to try to do it again. The thought I am a failure will not be so strong. Okay, and it will reduce some of those feelings of being angry and upset and jealous and etc. So, who has the power to change the thoughts? Each of us. Correct? Each of us has the power to change our thoughts. I'll teach you how to do that. First, first technique is asking, is it a fact or an opinion? I am a failure is an opinion. Correct? There is nobody in this world who is an utter failure. We are yet to find such a person. Correct? And even if he or she is, there will be a whole background story as to why that person has failed in life. Okay, so I don't believe any of you are here are utter failures or not good enough. We all have to look at the other side. That's what we are here for. Okay, so now let's look at some of the, somebody put their irrational thoughts. Now, there are patterns of thinking that we do, which we call as mental health professionals, we call them thinking habits or traps. Okay, I will share a handout with you after this to talk more about this, but I'm going to explain it to you. How these habits, how these thinking habits trap us and we get stuck in a cycle of thoughts. The first one is mental filter. Okay, mental filter is where I'm sit in the classroom and I'm catching only the negatives. Okay, I'm not looking at the positives. I'm only saying, oh, this teacher is not looking liking me, that one is not talking to me, this one is not doing this. And I'm just wallowing in that kind of self-pity. But if I spend my day catching the positive stuff, not wearing those blinkers, but catching the positive stuff as well, all right, I can turn it around. Thank God the teacher is not looking at me today, right? I don't have to think, oh, the teacher is not looking at me, not asking me questions. I can turn it around, okay, and make it into a positive thought. So, mental filter is one of the most common thinking traps. At the end of the day, each of us must think of all the good things that have happened today. In a city like Bangalore, if we have had electricity for more than 12 hours a day, it's a by God, I thank God 100 times. Okay, so that's what we need to do. Find the positive things in our day. From your age onwards, if you practice this, you will find positivity in everything that you do. The next one here is mind reading. Hmm? Now, all of you have switched off your cameras, right? I can automatically think, oh, they are not interested in what I'm talking. That is an example of mind reading. All right? Mind reading is where we assume that we know what the other person is thinking about. Even psychologists can't do that. It's a myth that psychologists can read minds. So nobody can read minds. We can only understand behavior, but we can't read anyone's mind. But today, what are we doing? We are looking at our WhatsApp. We all are on Instagram. You all will be looking at Instagram messages and saying how rude she is. You've not heard the voice, but you are saying how rude she is. Okay, so mind reading is different aspects of mind reading is what we do, and we have to keep it in mind that mind reading can break relationships if you don't sit and clarify. Some examples I've put here. I know they are talking about me right now. They are thinking about how poor a student I am. Okay, but actually nobody's talking about you. Hmm? Then she looks bored, so I must be the reason. Or the teacher looks angry, I am the reason. Okay? No, she until the teacher tells you you are the reason why I'm angry with you, do not assume it. Okay, so assumptions, forming of assumptions is another word for mind reading. Prediction. Prediction, none of us are astrologers here today, correct? Okay, if you are astrologers, you're allowed to make predictions. But when we are not astrologers, but all of us tend to make predictions. I will forget what I studied. I will not complete my course. I will fall sick. I know this girl doesn't like me. All right, so futuristic. All these statements are futuristic. And whenever we make a prediction and we believe in it, then what is going to happen? And we are going to become very anxious. Anything that we think about in the future, we might become very anxious about it. And is it helping us? If it's helping you to study more, fine, make the prediction. But if it is not helping you, then you have to change your thinking pattern. Again, a prediction is an opinion. All these are opinions. That itself should tell you, I don't need to have this thought right now. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat box anytime, okay? Even while I'm speaking. Yeah, right. Okay, I'll continue. One second, yes. Okay, I'm going into the next one, the next thinking trap, which is called as catastrophizing.
Ma'am,
Yeah,
sorry, there's a question in the chat
yeah,
box right now. Do you
yes,
want me to read it out?
yes, please.
Okay. So, but the intensity of feeling created by automatic thought is so huge we barely can recognize it and eventually end up considering it as a truth.
All right. But now that you know that I'm telling you about fact and opinion, can you pause and ask yourself if you feel, the intensity is so much, I'm believing in it, then think, what is the evidence I have? I'll be coming to that. So can we pause? I mean, can I do it in that particular slide? When I come to that, yes, I'll answer it. Okay. The first thing was fact and opinion. The second thing is catastrophize, and the other thinking trap that I'm talking about now is one step ahead of prediction is catastrophizing. Prediction means I will not pass in this exam. But catastrophizing is I will not pass in this exam. I will fail. I will never be successful. I am going to be a useless person in life. So going to the worst possible outcome. Okay, in a matter of seconds we do it. Now what I understand is that a lot of you do this catastrophizing, like saying, oh, I won't get good marks, because you all think that okay, when I don't get good marks I can say, that's what I told, I won't get good marks. You are able to accept it better. But what you all don't understand is you're putting your body under a lot of stress with this catastrophizing thoughts. Okay, for example, I like to predict catastrophes. That way, when things go wrong, I can still be right. Many youngsters tell me this. All right, but how helpful is it? Why can't we be wrong sometimes? Why can't we just not catastrophize and think of the worst possible outcome? What if I fail my exam? Then I will never pass and I will never succeed in life. All right, we all know Sachin Tendulkar's story. He never passed in an exam in class 10. That's how the story goes. But he is one of the most renowned cricketers we've ever had, right? So failure in an exam does not mean I'm an utter failure in life. Okay, we have just exams and studies are only one part of our life. When you reach my age, you'll understand it much more. But I know when you are a student, there's a constant thing that exam means success or failure. It doesn't. Okay, so catastrophizing is another thinking trap that many of us may have. Now, remember, you all may not be doing all of these things, but it's nice to know about all of it. And even if you're doing one of it and it is causing you a lot of, frustration and anger, you can take corrective actions. The next one is emotional reasoning, where we are assuming that our feelings convey the truth. Okay, so let's say I'm walking down the street and suddenly I feel nervous, and I think somebody's walking behind me. It's okay, maybe that's my sixth sense telling me. But if I start screaming and shouting that there is someone when there's nobody there, then I'm doing emotional reasoning. Okay, now I've given you an example here. I get sweaty during a presentation, so I must know what I'm doing. Okay, it's there's a feeling here that I'm and also a physical reaction that you're getting sweaty, so I must not know what I'm doing. I'm logically trying to put a connection there, but that's not logic. You may be getting sweaty because you're nervous. It's not because you don't know what you're doing. This may be the first time you're doing a presentation. Okay, I feel embarrassed, so I must be an idiot. Okay, and then every single human being is an idiot then, because we've all been embarrassed at some point in time, right? And another example, especially during COVID times, many of us began to feel lonely. So we started to feel lonely, and the thought was, I am not lovable or nobody loves me. Okay, but is it true? We couldn't reach out to everybody. We could not contact. I know I had my aged mother living in Bombay. Within 4 hours of lockdown, I couldn't bring her here. Okay, but she went through this, and we watched a lot of our elders saying they don't feel lovable. But we have to challenge these thoughts with them to make them feel better. Okay, so this is emotional reasoning where the heart works first and then the brain. Compare and despair. All right, my friends' Instagram stories get more views than mine. Hmm? My friends in MBBS are doing much better than me, but your MBBS friends think engineering friends are doing better. Okay, what happens when we compare and despair? We are comparing apples and oranges, and it's not going to take us anywhere. Despair is a negative emotion. Now let me ask you. Suppose your mother come into your room and says, the neighbor's daughter is doing much better than you. Why can't you study like her? Will you like it? No, nobody wants to be compared. But what are we doing? We are comparing ourselves with others. So it's not a healthy thing to do, because we have to compare ourselves with ourselves only in order to see the progress. Critical self. I very often say that if somebody had to walk into the room here and bully me, I will give them left and right and send them out. Right? Or I might keep quiet and say, okay, 10 minutes, let this person bully me and go. It will be for 10 or 15 minutes. Those of you who have faced bullying will understand it will happen, but it does have detrimental effects. I'm not taking away that part. But when we bully ourselves 24 by 7, saying, I'm stupid, I'm lazy, I'm good for nothing, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, then I am being the internal bully 24 by 7. Okay, so it's not healthy to be the critical self in a large way of I'm always making a mess of things, I'm lazy, I'm not good enough. Okay, we are being, if you look at the picture here, you're seeing a distorted image of yourself. If you go around asking others, am I lazy? They'll say, no, no, you're okay, you're fine. But I am thinking I'm lazy, I'm thinking I'm stupid, and that's not going to be healthy. Okay, the next one is black and white thinking. Black and white thinking is where we think in black and white, good, bad, okay, fat, thin, ugly, beautiful. We put ourselves on either side, but we fail to understand that we are somewhere on this, on the spectrum of gray. None of us are very bad. Nobody has killed anyone, no? Here in this group, no one has killed. All right. So that's what we have to challenge our thoughts when we feel like a bad person. Have I killed? Even people who have killed, we give them pardons or whatever it's called, presidential pardon and all, and we allow them to go back into the society. Okay. So we must understand that when we use words like never, always, nobody, everyone, we are using black and white thinking. Nobody loves me. Everyone's life is better than mine. Okay, so that these are ways to understand this is black and white thinking. Shoulds and musts. I should be the best in my class. I must be perfect. Whenever we have a should or a must, we are making a rule for
हाँ बोल.
ourselves or for others or for the world.
अरे
If I
बाबा.
say that the
अच्छा,
world
very
should be a
good. I'm
peaceful
in the call.
place,
बाद में बात
is
करते
it a
हैं. Bye.
realistic rule? Every time I'll hear the news of something happening somewhere in Ukraine, somewhere, I'm going to get worked up. Okay, so shoulds and musts are rules and expectations that we have which may not be realistic. Okay, so keep a check on your rules that you're having about yourself and about others, and ask yourself, are these realistic? I should be perfect at my work. I should be able to handle this without getting upset and or crying. No, you can get upset. You can cry. It's allowed. My friend should be there for me always. Very difficult, right? Friends can't be there with us always. I must be there for my friends always. Again, it's an insane expectation. Okay, so I must get high grades for others to know my worth. So whenever you find sentences with shoulds and musts, then you will understand yourself. These are rules that you have. Okay, so I've spoken about the thinking traps and thinking habits, and now I'm going to teach you a few techniques. Okay, I know I have limited time, so I'm just teaching you a few techniques how to manage. First technique was factor opinion. If it's an opinion, which one of these opinions did I have? Is it mental filter? Is it prediction? Is it catastrophizing, etc.? That's point two. Now, the third technique. Okay, third technique is an acronym called think. Is this thought true? It's same factor opinion, it's the same. Is this thought true? H, is this thought helping me? Is it helpful to me? Is it helping me to do something in the right direction? I, is this thought inspiring me? Is this thought necessary? N is this thought necessary for me to have this thought now? All right. And lastly, is this thought kind to me or to others? Now, if I get a no for even one of them, then tell your mind, I shouldn't be thinking this way. Constantly telling yourself these things, these thoughts will go out of your head. Okay, so that's one thing to keep, this acronym to keep in mind, which is think. And this is also another technique that I use and I tell many people to use, which is found to be very useful and helpful. Okay, now I'm going to play a video. This video is a train moving in a particular direction. Let us say the direction that we have is a north south south north direction. Okay, now when I start the video, I want you to see the train moving in a particular direction. While it is in the middle of the video, I want you to tell your mind to see it going in the opposite direction. Okay, we'll do it. Shall we try? Everyone's understood? Okay, so you have to make your brain see the train going in two directions. Okay, whichever direction it starts off for you, I don't. After few seconds, please see it going in the opposite direction. Okay, let's go. I'm starting the video. All of you, please look at it. There's no sound to the video, so don't worry. Ready? Everybody saw? Everybody saw the video going in both directions? Yes? I can see Sheila saying yes. How about the others say yes or no in the
Yes,
chat?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All are saying yes. Okay. I have never tried not telling this to anybody, that you don't only see it going in one direction, but I don't know what will happen. Okay. You saw, how many of you saw the train going into the tunnel first? Okay. Sheila
Me
saw it.
too. Happy.
Aarti also saw it. Okay, so you saw the train going into the tunnel, and then after a couple of seconds, you saw it coming back towards you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The other saw it the other way. That means Abba, Anshuman, and all saw it first coming out of the first coming out of the tunnel. All right. So that
I
means
saw out first.
you saw out first, and then you saw it going back, right, Shabana?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Very interesting, right? Same video was shown to all of you same time, but we all saw something. This is a train illusion. To be honest, it's an illusion created. We have no idea whether the train is going in or out, but it's an illusion created. But I told you all have to see it both ways. Now, if I can train my brain to look at this train going both ways, I can train my brain to do anything. Agree? You don't have to agree with everything I say, but if you want to challenge it, you can. Okay, in few seconds you saw a train going in and out. There were other visual cues, of course, the man looking that side, etc., which may have made your perception different for different people. Never mind. But when we can do something like this, we must believe, yes, I can also change the way I think. Okay, so that's what the video was intended to do. All right. You agree with the man on the right, or you agree with the man on the left? Nobody saying anything means you don't agree with anyone.
Ma'am, 3.
No, both are correct actually.
Both are
From
correct.
their,
Okay, she
from their own
three.
perspective.
All right. From their own perspective, you are saying both are correct. Bharti is also saying both are right. Okay. Now, sometimes, okay, what is your learning from this picture? Let me not put words in your mouth. What is your learning? Bharti and Abba, you all both said, okay, perception is different. Bharti, perception is different, I agree. But it depends where I'm standing.
For me, perception is different because I can see both people right now here. But when I would be at the position 4 or I would be in the person of position 3, then for me only my side would be correct. I won't be able to see that someone who is in front of me might be correct.
Okay, very good, Abba. So, Abba, let us say you are standing where the person is saying number 4,
Yeah,
and Bharti is saying number 3. How can you all both see each other's point of view?
exactly.
How? And that's my question. How would you all see each other's point of view?
For me, that time only I will be correct, and in front of me, the person in front of me will be wrong.
Sometimes we have to shift places. If you and Bharti went to the opposite place, right? And then you all would have both said, oh yeah, Abba would have said, yeah, I can see 3. And Bharti would have said, yes, I can see 4. So sometimes we have to see a situation from the other person's point of view as well. All right, I know I'm a parent as well. Yeah, putting myself in the other person's shoes, very well put, Bharti. Okay, so empathizing, putting ourselves. Sometimes we are always complaining, my mother is shouting at me, my father is shouting at me. Sometimes. Put yourself in their shoes and see, all right, why are they shouting at me? Why are they telling me to study more? Okay, rather than taking it as a stressor, try to rationalize it. Putting yourselves in your friend's shoes or in your teacher's shoes, anybody's shoes. Only when we shift our stand and look at it from another point of view, we might be able to understand things better. Okay? So this is just pictures to make you all understand how to make yourselves more resilient in terms of thinking. Okay, there was that question, no, Srila, that if you could read out that question, then I'll link it to
Okay.
this.
So it says
Yeah.
the intensity of feeling created by automatic thought is so huge we barely can recognize it and eventually end up considering it as a truth.
Okay. One thing is that when the intensity is high, it means the emotions are high. Now that you have learned this today, when the emotion is high, ask yourself what were the associated thought that I had that brought about this intense emotion. Okay? If you are able to find that thought, then you will be also able to do all that I've taught you till now, also this challenging part. It's a chicken and egg situation. We don't know whether the thought comes first or the emotion comes first. But what we know is that both may be present, but I can access my thoughts. I can write it down. I can't put my emotion down on a paper, but I can put down a whole range of thoughts and behaviors on a paper. Okay, so just some points here is, if I have a thought that I am not good enough, I'm taking that because that's the most common one that is brought to me in therapy. All right, what evidence is there to support this thought? Did others tell me I'm not good enough? If somebody comes and bullies me here and says, Jennifer, you're not good enough, will I fight back? Will I just allow it? Okay, so sometimes what is the evidence to support the thought? All right, what is the evidence to question this thought? How do I come to this conclusion that I am not good enough? What would my best friend, teacher, or my mother or father say if they heard me thinking this way? Correct? Imagine if I go and tell my friend I'm having this thought, I am not good enough. She'll say, I'll take my chappal and I'll beat you up because you've done this in life, you've done that in life, you know this, you know that. I don't know this, you know it. You know how friends are, they're so sweet. They just come out with all the best qualities in your worst time. So do that sometimes, okay? That when you're feeling down and out, talk to a friend, talk to a teacher, talk to a parent. And I was telling somebody this morning that if somebody came and told me that my son is not good enough, okay, I was trying to make that person think in different ways. I will defend my son to the end of the world. I may not do it in front of him, okay, that's another matter, but I will defend him. I will tell that person all his good points. Okay, so sometimes it's good to go up to a parent and say, what do you think is good about me? Right? We must get feedback to understand how our thoughts are placed. What would I say to my best friend if he or she had the same thought? Okay, so let's say somebody came and told me you're a good for nothing, or you're lazy, you will never make it in life. Imagine what is the advice you would give a friend. Okay, turning it around. We're very good in giving advice, but when it comes to giving our own selves advice, we don't do it. Lastly, is, am I making any thinking errors, thinking habits, thinking traps? Okay, so that's what you have to do to challenge your thoughts. Okay, I'm going to another activity. It's not an activity for you all to do, but something more to understand for thoughts. When I have a thought, I should understand, is this what I'm thinking within my control? So many times I ask people, what you can write what is within your control in the palm of your hand and what is out of your control in the fingers. Okay, I know that we don't have that much of time, but it's an exercise which all of you should do. All right, this is a picture. I can control my thoughts, my feelings, my behaviors, how I respond to others also as behaviors, how much I study, how much of time I spend on my phone, how much of time I give to a friend. All these is within my control. What is out of my control is what my friend thinks about me, what my teachers think about me, the attitude of others towards me. My past is beyond my control, correct? I can't change my past. No, I can learn from it, but I can't change it. My future is also out of my control. Okay, so sometimes if I have a thought, oh, this friend is not phoning me, is it within my control? What is within my control? I can phone my friend. Okay, so these are just things to understand when you look at your thoughts and your behaviors. What is in my control, enhance it, widen that circle. What is out of my control? Should I sit and worry about what's happening in Ukraine? It's out of my control. I can donate money to people who are in need of money. That is within my control. Okay, so keep asking ourselves these questions: what is within my control and what is not? I think this is one of the last slides, mindfulness. Okay, mindfulness is being in the here and now. It's an Indian practice that the West has borrowed and calling it this fancy term of mindfulness. Okay, don't keep your mind full of thoughts. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying mindfulness is being in the here and now in this moment. Neither in the past, because past causes depression, neither in the future because the future will make me anxious. But if I'm here in the now, I'm likelier to be happy. If you have too many thoughts, close your eyes and breathe in and breathe out and allow your mind to focus only on the breathing. Mindfulness is about focusing on the five senses. Two things I can hear, two things I can see, two things that I can touch, two things that I can taste, and two things I can smell. Whenever you're overwhelmed, do this small activity. Keep your legs on the floor and rub your feet on the ground. Remind yourself that I'm grounded, I'm safe. These are thoughts just coming into my mind. I can change these thoughts. So when I send you the self-help sheet, you will see all those traps, thinking traps with questions that you can ask yourself. Okay, I haven't put it as a part of these slides because these things can be on your phone and you can keep referring to it whenever required. So that's another technique to take your thoughts, to manage your thoughts. I've come to the end of our session. I'm very happy to have interacted with all of you who are here. But I want to know if there are any questions that I can take.